Companies find it a real challenge to get started in enterprise risk management. And I'm talking here about the process itself of ERM and not doing a risk survey or something. Part of that is that it's often a new process in terms of its formal nature. Companies are clearly managing risk all the time. Companies are doing a lot of activity on an ad hoc basis. So it's not an issue of discovering some new way of managing risk as much as it is understanding a process that will make it more visible to them and bubble up to senior management what the major areas of risk are. So as we look at that, we've actually even taken a different approach ourselves. We don't see the market as being that ready for functionality, to be honest. We see the market looking at help and solutions for how do I figure out what I should do first. And we've used a maturity model as a very helpful guide for companies to pace themselves. There really isn't the appetite today for huge projects. There isn't the bandwidth. People are rushing just to manage in this tough economy. So you have to pace yourself. And the benefit of the maturity model is that you can help explain to the audit committee, you can help explain to Standard & Poor's, if you will, what it is you're doing now and what you intend to do tomorrow. And the starting point that we see companies sort of rallying around is what we call the repeatable baseline, which is a foundation of enterprise risk management, an end-to-end process that covers everything from setting the context to monitoring the risks and everything in between. But doing so in a way that is clear and helps communicate upwards and downwards and sideways, what the risks are that we should be concerned about and why, and how we've identified ways to deal with them. And in the end, it's fairly common sense, and what we see is a great starting point for companies is just to flesh out that common sense around the context to begin with. What are the major performance goals and strategies that you're trying to achieve? What are the risks to those? And how would you rate then these specific risks as you go through the process? It's also important, we find, that you get people who have understanding of those risks, understanding of the processes where these risks occur, into the same room, into a facilitated session. That could be done virtually, if you will, a virtual web room, but it's critical that we have that dialogue. The survey is a good input, but it's not a sufficient element to rate risk. It's equivalent to kind of rating risk on an opinion poll. You have to be able to get people to debate the scenarios of risk so that ultimately they take ownership of those risks. So from our point of view, it's a challenge, but one that Align is well equipped to help companies navigate and provide greater visibility and context for the risks and therefore ownership of those, which is the first step towards both accountability and a cultural change, which is going to be necessary as they evolve sort of down that risk maturity model.